Welcome back to Texas Truck Channel. I'm Brian.
I'm Craig.
And we've got a freaking sweet truck for you today. This is the 2024 refreshed Super Duty from Ford. This one's an F-350, limited trim with the 6.7 Power Stroke, 4-wheel drive, crew cab long bed, and dually, which I'm silly, adolescently excited about. It's been really fun. But I just want to walk around and show you some things about it. Let's come out front and check out the nose of this thing. This is what's new in 24, is an all new face. I love the headlight design. You've got a C-clamp design that goes around an LED treatment. And then you've got a tri-beam on each side. So 6 different LED beams for high beams and your regular headlights, with LED lights in the middle for your marker lights. Down below above that, you have LED fog lights as well. So there's no halogen on this thing, and I like that they're separate. It just looks really good. In limited trim, you've got a lot of chrome up here, but it matches the truck, including these tow hooks right here, which are beef. Look, they're not painted red, which means you're not serious about off-road, but if you need to tow a ship, you've got it covered. That's the good news. Now, a little bit lower, you've got an air dam, which is not adaptive, and it is pretty stiff, but it does give. We've actually had these hit curbs before, and they just fold and come right back out. Really intuitive design. One of those things where you're like, man, it looks simple, but it's actually thought out. This thing will move when it needs to, and it gets it done, and actually gets mileage of some sort. So let's check out aesthetics in terms of wheel and tires. So coming around the side, you do have, because it's a dually, you have the different concave convex wheel. The rear wheels are like this too, and if you look in there, there's a steel standoff plate that bolts to the hub housing. That pushes this mounting point further out. Kind of a traditional diesel thing. They don't necessarily have to do that up front, but they do. Also, you have locking hubs. They're auto lockers, but you can force them to be locked right there. That's pretty cool, because these have beefy Dana axles that are a little bit old school in a good way. Also, 17-inch wheels, not 20s. Thank goodness. That means it rides pretty good. Now, size on this, these are Michelins. We call these the Highwayman tires. 245, 75, 17s. These things are freaking quiet, and they last forever. Now, in terms of suspension up front, you don't have independent front suspension like GM gives you. You have a solid front Dana axle, and that's just tried and true, and its Highwaymanners are pretty good in this example. The long bed of this, long wheelbase and dually rear, makes it more stable than some other 250s we've driven. This one's pretty good. Come around the side, you've got the limited vent here with badging. That's a thing, but it's also a functional vent. You get some heat coming out of that. You've got the big boy mirrors. These are power folding and telescoping coming out. Gotta say, as far as tow mirrors go, pretty good. I do like that you have a lower bubble on the bottom. You can see the rear wheels where they're at. The only complaint I have is the driver's side one makes a squeaking sound when you close it, and that's just the nature of getting vehicles. Sometimes they're not all the same. Down below you do have a camera, and there's actually a really good camera system on this. And also, when you get close to it with the key in your pocket, it deploys the step on its own. I like that. At night, it downlights really well too. It's kind of a nice luxury feature you find on the Limited. Oh, and of course we can't forget, big honker right here.
Well, and red means it's the higher output Power Stroke.
Yes, it absolutely does. So coming on down, we do have the crew cab. Craig will show that in a minute.
Whoa, hey-o.
What do we have here, Craig?
That looks like a GM step.
That's right. Ford rated the GM parts bin and put their own side step on, and I like it. We're making a joke, but that's a good thing to copy. It's effective, it works, and it's out of the way.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Weirdly, there's aftermarket companies that are making delete plates for this.
Why?
Don't do that.
Looks good.
It's a functional thing. If you need a show truck, don't get a 350. That's right. Got that out of the way. These are composite. This is aluminum, and what that means is this weighs a little bit less than a freaking metric bazillion tons. It's still really heavy, so that's the good news. Out rear, it's a dually. Same wheel and tire package, but now these wheels are flipped inside out. Big old chrome plastic cap on there. And look at these leaves. That's the big news. You've got a 5-pack with 2 overload springs on it. That's what happens when you tow over 20,000 pounds, well over. That just means business. But even out back, you have felt lining right here in the fender liner. It's part of why this is so quiet on its Highwaymanners. Pretty impressed with that. Now, another way you can tell you've got a diesel over the gas is the twin tips coming out the back. That's just so you know what you're working with. Coming out the rear, you've got the radar sensors in the taillight and also the built-in step right here. And then so people know what you spent for your truck, there's a nice placard to tell them what trim you have. This is the Limited. Now you know.
It also doubles as a mirror, so you could kind of...
Yeah, it's a vanity plate. Yeah. It's really good at that. So you do have the 7-way harness here, 4-way on the bottom, which is kind of cool. Some people only give you one. This is for your lock for your spare tire. And then down here you've got massive hoops for trailer chains, and then your receiver in the back. That's pretty cool. All that covered, let's check out the powertrain. All right, boys and girls, time to hop under the hood of what looks to be an industrial park by all stretches of the imagination, because there's so much going on in here. It's insane. There's pipes going everywhere, flex tubes, vacuum lines, dipsticks, I'm glad that's still there, EGT sensors. There's everything. And what this really means, Craig, is the base motor comes with 475 horsepower for the lot, 1,050 foot-pounds of torque. But this is the HO. It's got to be more than that. That means it's 500 horsepower and 1,200 foot-pounds of torque. That is just bananas. Now, thankfully, this is not going to hurt your children. It's not going to set your house on fire because they use something called boost by gear, or what Ford calls torque management. You don't get all that in first gear. You honestly don't get all that till about 8th gear. And when it does...
Yeah, then we'd all be internet famous and dead and be killing crowds.
It'd be a Mustang and crowds leaving cars and coffee. But the good news is, sometimes it hits that 8th gear real hard and you go, oh, there is 1,200 pounds of torque, and it just shoves you back along with your coffee. Pretty cool. Let's check out the interior.
Basically, Ford's tuned it from the factory for you.
It's, yeah, with the def on there. Undeleted tunes, what that is.
All right, time to check out the tailgate and the interior of the mammoth machine is what I call it. It does have an auto opening bed, which you can hit with the key, which is great. And of course, you have the traditional start of all the tailgate wars, old man step, which we're actually, you know what? We make fun of this.
It's kind of handy.
But how can I just tell you, this started all tailgate wars, and I'm happy they started those wars. And this is really kind of handy and dead simple. I mean, it just really is.
It works.
Hold it back up and put it back in, and Bob's your uncle. And then when you're done, because you're kind of tired from doing all that work, because look, you got this truck, you're doing some hard work.
Your back hurts.
You just go like that and it shuts. No other truck does that. I want to show you one more thing real quick though. This is really neat because somebody was asking me the other day, hey, what's this little thing in the tailgate? And I go, oh, you ever seen a tailgate with a big dent in it right here? That's a sensor. So when the tailgate's down, you still have a sensor. And then you see that right there? Uh-huh. You still have a backup camera.
So when you're backing up your gooseneck trailer,
yes,
because that's what happens. People hit their goosenecks.
Exactly.
Let's show them this real quick.
Oh, and this one actually comes with a roll top, which is interesting, but it actually kind of quite effective. So you just roll it up and there you go. Now you can access your fifth wheel hitch and do all that stuff, and it's kind of out of the way. We actually got some hay right now, and it's nice and covered. We didn't lose a bunch of hay everywhere.
Yeah, we've got 6 bales of hay in here, plus cones and all kinds of recovery equipment for an event we're working. No problem. No one's complaining with hay hitting their windshield behind you. Pretty cool.
Yep. Moving on to the interior. This is actually really nice space. Start with the door over here, Brian. That is actually not gray or black. That is actually blue. So,
whoa, I like that.
And I guess limited because it's a sport truck. You see that's some fake carbon fiber right above the door, the little cup holder. And then the handle is the traditional Ford handle, so it holds your cell phone and works as a handle. The best door handle design I've ever seen, honestly. And then you get a split level holding stuff. So you get another level right below that to hold, who knows, food or whatever for your kids. And at the bottom, some bottle holders. Before we get in the seat, these nice, comfy, voluptuous seats. Let's fold this up and see. Look at this, Brian. We got stored, lockable little. This will fold down and fold flat and get out of your way. That looks like some Ford, maybe a tow gear. We don't need to do all that.
I know,
okay.
I know what this is. This is actually for the gooseneck hitch, and it installs in seconds. Really
Look
cool.
at that nice little Ford branded thing. That's really cool. So this is actually real leather. So I mean, we get so much pleather. You can see that actually.
See the crinkle right there? That means it's actually hide.
And I love the blue color and the gray. It's a great pattern, a little diamond pattern. Limited badge in the seat. We get a nice armrest. This is a comfortable place to be. Suede roof liner. But Brian, I'm really concerned though because.
Well, I think I know the answer to this.
Yeah, it's got a this nice, beautiful panoramic roof, which is nice when you're driving around. And we get rear AC and heated seats, all that fun stuff. But Brian, yep, that's exactly the problem. It's almost inexcusable.
It actually, look, we've been nice to Ford for years. We've been fans of Ford for years. This is bullcrap. I'm just gonna say it. It's a full-size truck. Don't do a pano if you can't make this work.
Yeah.
That being said, the previous gen stuff I fit in beautifully, even with a sunroof.
Yeah.
So doesn't mean don't buy it. Just be aware if you have tall adults in the back seat, might be a problem.
That'll be a problem. On to the front. Moving on to the front, Brian, the captain's quarters or captain's lounge is what I like to call it. Let's check out the door. Same thing. You get nice padding, that blue leather and more carbon fiber. I've got 3 memory seat settings over here, the traditional Ford setup. The same door handle that works great. Auto down and up on the front, but not the back. Kind of annoying. I think the limited $109,000 truck would have that, but whatever.
Yeah.
But plenty of storage and cubby holes down in the actual deep door pocket, and a nice Bang & Olufsen door speaker that's kind of a chrome or matte, matte finish chrome.
Before we get off on that, can I point something out?
Yeah.
You got a tweeter here.
Yes.
And here.
Yes.
And over there.
Yes.
And in the rear.
Yes.
And behind that sub in the wall is a subwoofer built into the wall, so the floor is open underneath. Their under-seat storage game is serious.
It is, and look, I'll say this. We can't really show audio on these videos. It just doesn't work with compression and everything. It depends what device you're listening to it. You just have to take our word for it. It's a good audio system.
It's a good one.
It works. Before I jump in, Brian, I noticed something. The combined weight of the occupants and cargo should never exceed, do you want to guess how many pounds, what the payload is?
Payload. See, a Ranger's 1,500, so this is probably at least 1900.
5,154 pounds. That's what duals get you.
I was not close on that.
Unbelievable. So, okay.
Wow.
Let's get on in here. This is a beautiful spot to sit. I'm going to, well, let's show the people. I'm going to start this bad boy up, and we can see what we got here. Hit the button, and look, diesels just start up great now. It used to be a thing.
Quiet, too.
You get a nice 75th anniversary little, really high, it's really cool little graphic there. I like that. I like that. It's cool. I like that. It's high res. And then I'm going to put my memory seat on because I'm the captain of this ship. But you get your traditional Ford dials. We mentioned this on the podcast about this tachometer is completely different now. Instead of just two numbers that say like 1.2 or 0.8, it actually has a dial, because when you're driving, you just kind of able to glance and see where that's at, so you know where your revs are at.
It gives you a range, like a spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that helps a lot. One of the best things that Ford does over here is, see this little button right here, Brian? Adjustable pedals.
Yes.
What that means is, with that combined with a telescoping wheel and everything else powered, when I hit my memory button, it puts the pedals, the steering wheel, everything where I need it to be.
And mirrors, including telescoping in and out, everything.
Yes. It's beautiful, awesome. Beautiful. Nice infotainment screen works great here. It's nice. You can go widescreen or small screen. I don't know why more people can't do this. Just a simple button right here. It goes either way, and you can get different information depending on what you're doing at the time.
Yeah, I like
that. That is very nice. Last but not least, the crotch chillers. We need that. Interesting over here on the drive modes, and the four-wheel drive selector, no 4-auto, Brian, but
Chevy gives you 4-auto.
Yeah, a little interesting. We don't get 4-auto. You would think we'd get that, but column shifter. See that column shifter? What that does, Brian?
All the room.
Look at all this room. I got his wallet. I got pins. I got bottles. I got all kinds of goodies right here. That is really great. And yes, Brian's pointing out here. He is right. This diesel. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's exhaust brake.
The exhaust brake. You hit that button. Engine brake is on now. Hit it again. It'll do auto. This exhaust brake, it means active. Business.
Yeah.
So in my neighborhood, I have a lot of hills. This thing is a very heavy vehicle. And instead of having to downshift and do all that sort of thing, I hit that button and it slows me down going on the hills smartly. It's not too aggressive. It just works just right. It's calibrated very well. Enough of that, though. We're going to do not an on-road test, an in-car off-road test.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. All right, Brian, our first obstacle, talk us through this first obstacle, and I'll get out and film it. But what is our first obstacle?
So our first obstacle is a straight-up hill climb. This is a 20-degree, actually we saw touching 21 at some points in our testing earlier in a different vehicle.
Pretty steep hill.
It looks like a straight-up wall, yeah. So similar to our hill test at home, but there's no step. It's just a continuous climb. Okay, so what modes are you going to do? You're just going to too high and leave it lead at least and see where we go from there? Yeah,
You got four wheels driving it.
It is it's 4x6 right now. Let's try it.
Let's get out and see what happens. Okay, so like Brian said, we got it in two-wheel drive, which is actually four-wheel drive in the rear. And let's just see what happens. No modes. Okay, enough clearance there. The approach is a little bit of an issue. Starting to get some slippage in the back. They're all slipping. They do have a limited slip. They are not going side to side. They're all turning. Okay, Brian, so good news. We didn't talk about it with the viewers, but we have a limited slip.
We do, and I felt that start to engage, by the way.
Okay, so that's good. No locker here. No selectable locker.
There's no selectable locker, and that's really it. But like we always do, we target 2 miles an hour to climb an obstacle just to test traction. And I had traction off there. Okay, so now we're going to put traction on? Sure. Two-wheel drive, see what happens. Two-wheel drive, see what happens. We're not going to back up or reset. We'll leave where it's at. Yeah, and as expected, because it's a limited split, Brian, there's really nothing for the computer to do when all the wheels are just turning. It's getting they're equally spinning. So next mode is stay in normal mode, but give it a 4 high, or what's your thoughts? I think 4 high is the only move from here. I bet it still does it, but it's heavy, so let's see what happens. It is heavy, okay, so. All right, 4 high is active. Hang on. Traction off. All right, so we got the front wheels helping now, 4 high, it's still normal, okay. That shows you how much those front wheels help. A little slippage in the back, a little slippage up front. Oh, there's the peak of the angle. But we got up and over it, okay. Here's what I'm next concerned about is we had a 20-degree climb a minute ago. This in front of us is a 20-degree side slope back to back. Yeah. So I think we're gonna get a tire in the air here. Yeah, this one's gonna be interesting. What we have here, we have a 20-degree slope. So he's gonna go like this, and then 20 degrees, it's gonna pitch to the side. And then at the same time, he's gonna have to cross his axles up and do the exact same thing
Opposite axle. So let's see what happens here. You can see it. Not a problem there. Plenty of stability. And here's the hard part. Plowing on the front right.
Is it a problem?
Yeah.
We try a different angle?
Yeah, you have to do a different angle. There you go.
How's that? Okay.
Okay, so you're in just two-wheel drive right now.
I'm in 4 high.
You're in 4 high?
Yeah, 4 high. This front wheel is just going doing nothing though.
Okay, so it's just not, okay.
And traction's off. So I think what I actually want to try here is I want to try off-road mode.
Oh, there is an off-road mode?
There
okay.
is an off-road mode. It's not rock crawl or anything like that, but it's the only
traction control system.
Here we go, off-road system. And let's just see if it can manage the wheel spin a little bit better.
I'm sure it gives you a little camera there.
Yeah, it gives you a front camera and shows you the trail, kind of like the Raptor does. So when you turn the wheel, it shows you where you're going.
Let's get this angle over here so we can see we're really crossed up. And it's just not getting traction to see if the... There he goes. See, it's completely off the air now.
Is that in the air?
Oh, yeah.
There we go. All right, now the back is in the air.
Yep.
Okay.
All
right, boys and girls, and that is where a locker saves you. If you had a locker there, it would keep the rear axle 1-to-1, and it just would have just kept going.
Right.
No problem.
So, yeah, very interesting. But the off-road mode did apply enough brake on the spinning wheel to get you past it, because in normal mode, it wasn't doing it.
It felt way better with the off-road mode in terms of forward momentum. It was working, so.
All right, Brian, we're coming up on the next obstacle. What do we got going on here?
This is the pit. So this is actually designed to test approach, breakover, and water fording ability. I'm nervous about that air dam and the wheelbase over this crest.
And good tire helps here, because what we have is we just have a pretty steep approach on some really rocky terrain, and it drops us into a water pit, like you said.
Yeah, on the other side. So let's see how that goes.
So what are we going to go with? We're going to stay in off-road mode because we're already there, 4 high.
Yeah, because I don't want to have a traction problem in the water. This isn't about a grip question. This is about a fording of the water.
And then I'm also going to keep an eye on the front air dam. We may have to abandon this, but let's see.
Let's just see. Yep.
Like I said, this is a pretty steep, very rocky climb. Worried about these rocks and the front air dam, but we're going to see here and see what happens.
Four low.
So we get a little bit better control. Now he's in 4 low. Okay, this coming up, it's going to clear the air dam. Get some slippage here, slippage here.
Oh, she's walking.
Walking a little bit.
So it's also...
Hang on. This way. All right, Brian, so before you go into the water there, started walking on you a little bit.
Yeah, she hopped. There's a lot of weight. I went to 4 low real quick because it has the torque, but I'm trying to reduce torque surging with the turbo. Also, I went to 4 low at default, so it started in 2nd gear.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
A little more control.
Yeah, probably the sweet spot for it. Because 1st gear and 4 high was definitely a higher ratio, like by a big margin. So anyways, the screen was very helpful. I was able to get the front tire exactly where I wanted. It just hopped once I got to that boulder that I was aiming for. So
okay, time for the water pit.
Let's see what we get.
All right, now we're going to get into the water pit. He's not going to splash me. If he does, he's going to be in trouble. So this is about 16 to 18 inches in depth. Shouldn't be a problem here. All right, Brian, so very good. It kind of hit about the mid front bumper.
Really?
Yeah. It's,
okay, so there it is. So I noticed, I don't know if you heard it or not, when I hit the water, the fan clutch disengaged.
Ah.
And when it came out of the water, I heard it go
come back on.
Yeah, so there's a water sensor up there somewhere.
Interesting.
Or maybe it was a fluke, but it sure seemed timed perfectly. So
interesting.
A lot going on here, yeah.
So that's it for off-road portion. We figured we'd show you something different than we normally do, especially since we're at an Eagle Canyon Raceway and they have a great off-road course here. So with that, stay tuned for more.
We are going to do the hill test when we get back home with this.
Hill test is coming.
We're probably skipping the road test because we've done the Super Duties before.
Be sure to subscribe and like so we get more of this action. Leave us the comments below. Let us know if we're crazy for even taking this thing off-road, because who's going to do that? This is a Towmaster.
It's 4x4, dude. Come on.
Thanks for watching.